All right, welcome back to the Ryan Morrison Show. I'm your host, Ryan Morrison, and today I'm super blessed and grateful to have Jeff Hoffman on the show. You just want to do a quick read for Jeff. Jeff Hoffman is an award-winning global entrepreneur, proven CEO, and worldwide motivational speaker. He's a best-selling author, Hollywood film producer, producer of Grammy Award-winning jazz album, an executive producer of an Emmy Award-winning television show. He's had a really successful career, also most known for being the CEO of Priceline and Booking.com, Ubit.com, and so much more. I'm super grateful to have you on the show, Jeff.
Oh, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. So we just met each other. We're right now at the Global Entrepreneur Congress, which you happen to be a chairman of.
Yes.
So I would love for you to just share with my audience a little bit more about the Congress and the purpose behind.
Sure. So we started the Global Entrepreneurship Network is the name of our nonprofit, and the Global Entrepreneurship Congress is our annual meeting, which is what we're at now. We started this with a really simple mission statement, which is this: to help anybody, anywhere start and scale a business. And the reason for that, though, was really starting more in like developing nations, teaching people how to help themselves. People that live in places where there are no jobs, there are no help, let's just teach them how to help themselves. So it has now grown. I'm proud of this team to say we're in 200 countries on the ground, teaching people how to turn their ideas into businesses so they can feed themselves, take care of people, maybe shape the future of their country or of the world. And we help build the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem. We have this Congress once a year. It's the first time we've done it here in the U.S., so we're proud to be in Indiana.
Yes.
But where we invite people, entrepreneurs, investors, policymakers, the ecosystem people from the entrepreneurial network across all 200 countries for a week of education and networking.
And it's awesome. There's a few thousand people here. I mean, there's a lot of buzz and things happening. I was able to meet Brad Feld here and interviewed him yesterday. So
Guy, longtime friend.
that's awesome. I mean, they're really great people here. So, congratulations to you for being able to help put this together and for just sharing this vision of entrepreneurship with the world. It's
Well,
really
thank you very much. We think it's, entrepreneurship's not a job, it's a mindset, right, of solving problems and making things better. And it's a tool set of how to turn an idea into reality. So we're thrilled to be here, being able to help more people become entrepreneurs.
That's great. So let's dive into your story with Priceline in particular. I'm really curious here just to talk about the factors of success. Like, what was the inspiration behind starting the business? And then what would you say would be, if you could give one or two or three max, like, examples of like what were those big factors that contributed to that business becoming so successful?
So the inspiration came from a guy named Jay Walker in Connecticut. Jay is an inventor, let's say. And so Jay had a patent for the idea of a reverse auction. And realizing that hotels have lots of empty rooms they can't sell. So why don't you take the empty ones and just auction them off? You can't sell them anyway. So that was the idea that Jay came up with, and then assembled a team, a small team of people to go build it, which is where I came in with the original team to go turn those ideas into businesses. I mean, I think a lot of the keys, one of them, there are things I've been talking about here. I've been doing workshops here at the conference. One of them was the fact that we really focused on finding the best and brightest. We don't need a big team. We need a great team. Let's just get the smartest people we can find and put them all on this problem. And the bigger part of it as well was just generally turning travel booking, taking it out of the hands of travel agents and airline and hotel employees and letting you, the consumer, book your own travel. So it was a big task in a big industry. We had to find really smart people to do that. I think another big distinguishing factor was that we were doing something different. So one, what I just said is I should have used the word, we were disrupting an industry with millions of travel agents. And what we're saying is technology, you can book your own travel. We're going to disrupt the industry, displace the travel agents, and use technology to let you book your own. So that was the disruption part of it. But the other thing is the distinguishing part of it, which was that Jay's patent on the reverse auction. Name your own price is Priceline's tagline, right? So name your own price in a hotel room. helped the company grow because people like said, wait, what's that? Never heard of something like that. And that's what drew people, is that we were really doing something different.
Right. So I think you just covered two of the three of the greatest assets that you talked about in your conversation that I just attended,
Yeah.
which was the importance of building a brand, right? So you talked about the brand building being about picking the most distinguishing trait of your business, the most memorable and the most powerful,
Yes.
right? And so you differentiate marketing from branding, as marketing being linear, you have sort of measurable inputs and outputs, brand being an exponential tool to grow your business. So talk a little bit about that, because I think some people who aren't really in the branding and marketing, not a lot of CEOs who don't think like that, they don't really understand the true value of brands. So
Yeah.
talk about that, and then also
They understand that if I, let's say it's an online business, if I double my marketing spend on Google ads or Facebook ads, I drive more traffic to my site and I get more sales. That's the linear piece of marketing. But explosive growth, that hockey stick acceleration, tends to happen when your sales start becoming inbound, not outbound, right? So outbound is, you're only buying something from me because I spent a whole bunch of money marketing you. But inbound is when I didn't actually spend money on you in direct marketing, but you're looking for me and my product. You're looking for me and my product because there was a message out there in the world that this is, I use the example today because I learned it from Fred Smith of FedEx, right? And his message was, when you absolutely positively have to get this document there by tomorrow morning, right? So you're out there looking for a way to get your document delivered overnight. And FedEx's message was, when it absolutely positively has to be delivered overnight. So that's the brand. The brand is, I didn't directly market you, but you were at lunch and you said to somebody, man, I'm stressed out. I don't know how to get this contract delivered overnight. And someone said, wait, delivered overnight? I think that's what FedEx does. That's the inbound. That's what a brand does, is it puts a message out there in the world that when people hear the problem, then they say, oh, I think that's this company. And people start calling you that you didn't even spend any money marketing on.
right. I thought that was so genius. I hadn't heard it before, but when you're building a business, you want to put yourself in the person's shoes who has the problem and ask yourself, what is the question that they're asking themselves, right? What is the question they're asking themselves? Oh, I need to get this document. Who is the person who can get this document there overnight?
There you go.
Right? And so that was the key to like FedEx. They put on their website, when you absolutely positively need to get your document there overnight, it's an important contract, it's worth millions of dollars, let's just say hypothetically, FedEx is the reliable brand.
Exactly right. Because a lot of people, I look at their marketing, and there was one company came to my office, they showed me their marketing. And this is what I said, Ryan. I said, so if I understand your marketing right, you're a group of people that does a bunch of stuff. And they're like, wait, what? I said, that's what I got out of this. You're people that do stuff. And I was like, I really have no idea, actually. Even after your marketing, I really don't know what you do or why I would call you. Too often, people go too broad because they're trying to give you all these reasons. We do this and we do that. And at the end, you can't remember any of that stuff. When you refine that message to the single, that distinguishing, memorable, powerful, that one real reason, that's what FedEx did. Their distinguishing thing was, you got to get this contract there. Absolutely. Positively tomorrow, we got you.
Right. So I work with a lot of early stage founders, college founders. I was telling you a little bit about my house residency. I told Brad it was a baby Techstars, and he corrected me, and he said it's more, I can't remember. He said something goo accelerator, good goo accelerator, or something like that. But I think when the entrepreneurs are just getting started and they're really trying to figure out like, what is my problem, who is experiencing that problem, why, and like starting with why, you kind of have to kind of throw stuff at the wall to get it kind of started.
Okay,
right?
Ryan, you hit a really key point. That's one of the problems, is because they're starting at the wrong place. People are starting there and they're saying, okay, now I'm going to figure out who. What I always tell people, that's because you're sitting in your office or your home trying to think up a problem to solve. What I always tell people is the best, most successful entrepreneurs I know were not in their office. They were in the world. So my first startup, here's an example. My first startup, I was in the airport. I was waiting in line to get a boarding pass to check in. And at that point in time, you had to check in at the ticket agent, and they gave you your boarding pass. And I stood there for over an hour, and I missed the flight because the line was so long just to check in and get a boarding pass. And I was standing there listening to everyone, come on already, why is this taking so long? This is ridiculous. And I was saying, why can't we check ourselves in? And the airline people, it's because it doesn't work that way. You need us to go in, verify your ID. And I was like, there has to be a way to do that. So my first startup was I went home and said, I'm not doing that again. There has to be a way. But it's because I was standing in an airport listening to everybody complain. But before I left the airport, I said, how long have you been in line? And people were like, an hour and 21 minutes. And I said, if you could skip this line and I could make it 3 minutes and not an hour and 21, would that be worth money to you? And people are like, yeah, where do I pay? And so that's when I went home, and my first startup was the check-in kiosks that you go to the airport now and you check in. That's what I built.
Wow.
But I built them because I was standing in an airport. That's my point. So if you're standing in the problem, you don't need to wonder any of that stuff because you're in it. You hear it. What people do is they pick a problem and then they try to figure out who cares about this problem. I can tell you who cares, everybody in line in front of me. Is that making sense? Be out in the world, be in the problem, and then solve the one you're in. Don't come up with something and then wonder who it is that cares about that problem.
That is gold right there. I know we're short on time and you have lunch to get to and all of that, but I wanted to give you an opportunity. I do want to ask about Worldview Horizons and the work that you're doing there, because I think it's so impactful. And, I'm a mission driven entrepreneur myself. I think just entrepreneurship really is about making the world a better place. And I know that you live that through your heart with what the work that you're doing there. So maybe you could tell us a little.
Well, thank you for that opportunity because that's what I really care about.
Yeah.
If I worked really hard all those years just to be able to do this, it was worth it, right? Then I figured out why I was doing all that. I always tell people, because we think success is the destination. Everyone's trying to get rich or internet famous, whatever they're trying to do. But it turns out success is not the destination, it's just the platform. And success isn't the end, it's the beginning, because it's the platform that finally enables you to do the really cool stuff that matters. So selling hotel rooms, not exactly saving the world, but because we did it well and were successful, it enabled me to go do what I do at World Youth Horizons, which is my personal foundation is dedicated to youth. And we have our specific mission, which is raising abandoned children around the world. So give you the example, Uganda, they have a civil war. It's a civil war. The parents kill each other. And so children are just left in the jungles to hide until they die. And so we go there, we round up all these abandoned kids and we just raise them. We build homes, we teach them, we build farms, we teach them how to farm, including animal farms like pigs and goats. We teach them how to eat half, sell half. So we teach them these sustainability, creating food, selling food, and then we send all of them to school. That's the main focus. We get them all educations and send them off in the world to have a better life. So that's the work that I value way more than any company I've ever built, is that every time we can completely change a child's life by giving them a home and then by getting them an education, is worth every second of the time and the money that we spent doing it. So thank you for asking that.
You're welcome. For my listeners out there, how can anybody out there who listens to this episode get involved and help support the mission?
So for that one, I personally have a website, jeffhoffman.com, but the website is worldyouthhorizons.com. And at worldyouthhorizons.com, you can donate if you want. You can also volunteer because we do programs in the U.S., in the inner cities as well, to try to help out kids.
Do you work in Detroit?
We've done work in Detroit, in Cleveland, in Chicago.
Okay.
So those are the Midwest cities we've done work in before.
Okay. Well, I'd love to talk with you offline in the future.
Okay.
I'm out in Michigan. I would do my hacker house is in Detroit. So anyway, offline.
I would love to.
But that'd be amazing. I want to talk about one more thing, and then I have one last closing question for you. You've achieved a lot of success in different domains, right? And so I guess my next one is about TV and movies.
Okay.
So I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you got involved in that and how you were able to excel in that field, in addition to being, successful in all these other areas as well.
So the why, the sort of how I got involved in it. was intentional. I'm an engineer by trade, and I'm in transaction businesses, so it's very left brained, right? You're doing tech, and you're doing business all day, and I'll tell you what actually made it happen, Ryan. There was a movie, so Hollywood promoting a movie. We're all talking about it. Everyone's talking about a movie. This is years ago, and Friday night, my friends were like, "Let's go on opening night," and I was like, "We're gonna have to wait in line." We stood outside and waited in line to go on opening night. We were so excited. We spent all this money on snacks and everything. We get in there and it's like 10 minutes in. And I turn to my friends like, "This movie sucks." And I said, how are we talking about it for 2 weeks and waiting outside in a line to see this? And the answer is the marketing machine of the entertainment industry is phenomenal. So what I said was, I want to get a break from left brain. I want to exercise the right brain. I want to watch and learn how creative people create. And I want to figure out how the entertainment industry is so darn good at marketing. What are they doing that we're not, that we could learn? So that's why I got into it. But the reason we were successful is literally the talk that I gave yesterday here at the GEC Congress, which is that no matter what your business is, you need to surround yourself. You need a smaller team of rock star people. So in that case, in music, film, and television, it was literally rock stars. So we took our fundamental philosophies of, focusing in on your strengths, of narrow casting instead of broadcasting your message to the right audience, right? It's better to talk to 200 people that 150 of them say yes than to talk to 10,000 people that only 100 of them are interested. So refining your messaging to the right people. We did that. We really identified who's our customer in this case, and we stayed focused on what we were good at doing. And then I went and built teams of amazing people out of film, television, and music, out of those industries, and that's where we were successful. We applied the same basic principles, blocking and tackling, of entrepreneurship, even though people said, no, you don't understand, it's the music industry. I was like, when they would say music business, I would say it's still a business. And what we would say a lot of times, because they were starving artists, they would say, you don't understand the music business. And I was like, I wouldn't say this out loud, but maybe you don't understand the business part of the music business. So give us some space. And it was when we combined the artists on the film, television, music side with the business team that we're able to achieve success, respecting each other's space.
That's incredible. I'm a huge jazz fan myself, so that's
Okay.
another thing we relate on. I also wanted to just use this as an opportunity to share with my show that they don't know, but I am exploring the idea of launching a small docuseries around the Hacker House and college
I love those, yeah.
things. And specifically, I'm not going to give too much now because I'd like to work on it first, but what would it be like if there was a show around college entrepreneurs?
But yeah, I think it's a great idea because it would inspire a lot of people to look and say, well, wait, she's just like me. If she can do that, I can do that. And so
Yeah.
that's the value of a show like that, is inspiring people who didn't realize they could be an entrepreneur in college until they see other people doing it. And realize those people are just like me. If they can do it, I can. So more power to you, man.
Thank you so much. Last question.
Yep.
What's one piece of advice that you would give to a college founder who's just getting started on their journey?
I think that piece of advice is to explore, try stuff, right? That instead of sitting and wondering about what you like, about what you don't, about what's going to work and what's not going to work, just pick up a shovel and start digging, right? You got to try stuff. It's not everything will work, or something might work, but you don't even like it. But thinking about it will never be the answer. Trying it is the answer. So for me, I had a lot of hustles, and some worked and some didn't work. But I was like, you know what? The only way to find out is to just try it. So that's I think the important lesson for them is try a lot of things, and deselection is an important process.
Right.
Meaning saying, whoa, I hate that. I actually had a friend that went to law school, and he put in those 3 years to go to law school. But when he got out, I was talking to him about it, and he said, actually, I'm not enjoying law at all. And I was like, dude, walk. And he said, how can I walk? I went to law school. I said, right, because there's no way you would know if you were going to know if you like it until you became a lawyer. Right. And I said, now you know you don't like it, so go do something else with your life. He's a professor now.
There you go.
But he never anticipated that. but you couldn't guess, right? You have to go try and do things. So if you're a college kid, if you're still a college student, try stuff. Look for problems on campus that you can fix. One of the ones we did when I was on college, a little side one, was it'd be late at night when everything was closed. And a lot of times people are like, man, I'm hungry. But even the convenience store was closed on our campus and the fast food was closed. And so we started a little business that was called Midnight Bagels. And it's only because there was literally a bakery that made bagels that we walked in and talked to the owner. So he would let us go get fresh bagels at night. He was making them for the next day. And he would make batches for us late at night. And we would go back on campus at midnight and say, who's hungry? And we would sell every bag of fresh baked bagels because nothing else was open, right? Find some problem and just solve it, or explore an industry that you think you're interested in. If you're not, move on, but at least you know.
Right.
Take chances, do experiments.
Wanted there. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ryan.
I really appreciate it. I look forward to staying in touch, and I look forward to sharing this advice with you also.
Thank you, and let me know about your show, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Well, no,
Let's
here's
talk
it.
about it. Thank you.